Hello everyone, Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo here for another Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous State of the Game. Well, it happened. 2.0 came out. Whoa! Did I just say that? And if you look in the lower left-hand side of my screen, you're going to see a badge from the new NVIDIA driver. Not happy. I didn't know it was going to do that. I'm going to have to pull that out of there. Anyway, 2.0 came out on Friday, and I'd have to say, outside of the frame rate issues, which are crap, this is an amazing feat, because I've been trying to get this thing to work for more than 10 minutes for the entirety of the PTU, and I reinstalled many times and would just get out to one of the relay towers, comm towers, and I would just crash, and I'd crash, and I'd crash, and I'd have driver errors, and I'd crash, and I'd crash, and I was starting to think, oh my god, how are they ever going to release this game? What's it going to take? But yesterday, all week actually, I've been trying to get in touch with Ben to do a Ben's Day, and he's not been answering. And finally yesterday he said, we're going to push 2.0, and I just put my, it was a facepalm to me. I'm like, really? First, you let in, 5 to 50,000 people to 100,000 people to play the PTU that's broken. Now you're going to put it out to everybody? Thank God I'm wrong. This is an amazing, amazing patch. And although there's not a lot of persistence in the baby PU, although there's no life outside of the life of your fellow multiplayer-oriented person, it definitely gives us an idea that the direction that CIG has taken in their creation of this universe that we're going to be in for the next 5, 10, 15 years, whatever it is. And I say 15 because look at EverQuest. It's still going. Yes, it still has a long way to go. Yes, there's still bugs. And yes, it's kind of flat and shallow to be called a game at this point. But it's not a game. It's an alpha version, which means these are building blocks for what the game is going to be. And we keep saying that, but nonetheless, I'm going to say it in every one of my episodes just because I can. So, look at that. It's just beautiful. And, like, that right there was some of the elements were not built until I walked towards it. That's one of the bugs that you'll see, but it's a graphic glitch more than a bug. Every time I walk out to my glaive, I just look at it and say, wow, that thing is just too big. It really is. It really is just a very, very big ship. But I think in relative terms to the size of a Vanduul and their ship, as opposed to a human in their ship, I bet you relatively they're about the same size. Ratio of occupant to size of ship. Alright, so what do I think of the PU of 2.0? Well, there are so many changes that it's going to be difficult to go over all of them. Visually, I think it's unparalleled, and I just think that it is one of those things that is going to make me feel much more part of the universe because of how they nailed the graphics. And now it becomes even more apparent, even though we already were convinced, but even more apparent why CryEngine was so important to this particular game. I mean, what other engine would be able to get the visuals so right? Zane has done an amazing job with the HUDs. That's one thing I do want to point out. I think the Mobi-Glass needs a tiny, tiny bit of work to look more realistic, like a hologram, but big deal. My biggest problem with the Mobi-Glass is that it doesn't take care of everything. That you still have to run up to a terminal, which I'm trying to figure out how that makes sense or why that makes sense. And I guess I could, I can deduce deductive reasoning, right? That what it is doing is that it has different connections in the game universe to things than your Mobi-Glass does. Your Mobi-Glass probably has connections to missions and stuff, but they're probably trying to limit the number of connections to the actual ships being put on the platforms, so everybody doesn't call the same ship at the same time. So if you only have a certain number of terminals, maybe that's why that isn't implemented right now. But some of the things that don't annoy me but concern me is this. The combat, well, it's laggy right now, big deal. That's because they just put it live and they still have to make certain pieces on the, well, certain corrections or certain modifications to the server code as time goes on to make it so we have seamless combat. But everything seems smaller, like way smaller out here. The ships you're firing at relatively to the size of your ship. And that is disconcerting to me, being 50 years old and blind. But, well, not blind, just old. And I'm wondering if that's those relative sizes, which seemed a little bit bigger in Arena Commander, have now been corrected, or if that's a graphical glitch here. So it's just one thing, because this is just way too far away. This is me trying to be funny. I'm going to pull up on this this Hornet over here, and I'm going to try to do the Top Gun thing where I go upside down over his cockpit, but collision right there, it just blows up. I was too close to him, and I probably blew this guy up, and I'm so sorry. But I am impressed. I'm hugely impressed with the direction that the game has gone in. Although this still is a test piece of the game. Do not expect combat to be like it is in here. Do not expect that there are going to be so many people willing to put themselves in harm's way in order to just have their ship blow up next to them and then have to go back and wait or pay. So this is not going to be a Battlefield or Call of Duty type game when it's done, where you just keep on respawning like this. Yeah, I like the Mobi-Glass. It just doesn't seem... It seems like it needs a glossy layer or something. Right? Something? I don't know. Every time I go through here, I've been playing so much Fallout, I take a look around and I go, oh, there's trash, there's a box, I could go through there, and still no interaction with the environment around you, which is disconcerting because they're trying to prove that they could build that living, breathing universe. But I guess the systems by which we are going to matter in this universe, meaning us walking, us interacting with computers, and us flying ships and having combat, and us landing and shooting each other, are much more important for this particular launch of the Star Citizen Alpha. Alright, so that's a lot of things coming from me and probably a lot of things coming from you. So what I hope for the future, well, of course, what I hope for the future is that they put my freaking Vanguard on here, but it's not there, and I thought it was out there for people in the PTU, but I don't see it here for me. Well, what I hope for the future is that they do start putting time into finishing the modules that they've already put out there. We seem to get these half-finished modules, and then they put out another module. And I'm wondering what the theory is behind there, and I'm wondering what your theory is behind there. I don't want to knock or find anybody putting knocks on CIG for this, but I just want to point out, we had hangars that were released a couple years ago, and then they were updated. We were promised the room system and multiplayer hangars. That hasn't happened. Okay? It hasn't. We were given Arena Commander that was supposed to get Star Marine. That's not done. Okay? Big deal. That's going to be done after this. This needed to be implemented before that, but still, half done. We got R-Corp. A beautiful look into what the graphics and the environmental detail of this game were going to be on planet, but no interaction with the NPCs or the objects in the game, meaning you can't sit, you can't pick up anything on a counter in a bar, and really you can't do a lot in the systems. So not done. And then this, which how do you knock this? I mean, does it really matter that you don't have NPCs or realistic interaction to make your ships take on cargo, get missions, missions on your wrist? Yeah, I guess the Moby Glass makes sense. Does it? I mean, I want to go. I want it to be like Privateer, go into the guild office and talk to the guy, but still, in that respect, no interaction, half done. So my thought process is all of those different modules that I'm talking about, the multiplayer hangar, which isn't out, the Star Marine, which I'm going to put into a different category. We're going to pull that out of here and put it aside because that, I believe, will get done, and the main part of that is going to be Sadaball. But this and ArcCorp, I think that the next module that they talk about is going to be that module where we get female models and we get NPCs that start to populate ArcCorp and Crusader, and we start getting things like the hangar system to build our module rooms onto them. I mean, we were promised the ability to have a firing range for our guns, to have a living quarters for our people, to have a storage area for all of our guns and all of our ammunition and stuff, and that just hasn't come to fruition yet. So I think that those are things that are now going to start being put into these modules that we have, because we have the building blocks, the foundation of the game now. And now I believe they're going to start putting in the walls and mudding those walls and putting the paint on and putting the furniture in, you know what I mean? So I think we're on a roll. I think 2016 is going to see a rapid increase in the rate at which we see updates that matter, updates that change the way that we're looking at this game. And while right now Crusader is just a big giant sandbox we get to play in, it'll become that living, breathing Star Citizen entity that it's supposed to be over the next 12 months. Well, folks, that is it for my rant, my thoughts, my ADD thoughts. It's been a long 3-4 months. I should start picking up production of my my videos again, doing a few studio Star Citizens and having a big end of year show that I'll be doing. I finished school, straight A's, and I have time and I feel a lot less stressed, and I'm going to put a lot more time into this channel. So let's talk about who won the hangar, I guess you'd call it the subscriber flare for the last state of the game. And then we'll talk about what the very quick rules are going to be for getting the Endeavor from Ben and I on the next Ben's Day. The winner of the hangar flare is Brent Chesson. Brent, please contact me at starcitizenaa@gmail.com. We'll connect and I'll give you a choice of the hangar flare that I have. And let's do it again. So if you guys want a piece of my hangar flare, my subscriber flare, just put in here that you want a piece of it, and next state of the game, which will be next week because no school, no studying, means I have time to do these, and we'll give away another piece next week. Alright, so now for the Endeavor contest. I'm going to make it very simple. All I want you to do is answer a question. What is the next part of the game that you want to see pushed live? Is it multiplayer hangars? Is it the female character and character creator? Is it NPCs and an truly interactive world that you're in? So you can go up to those soda machines, pick up the food, paste and stuff on the floor and on the bed in your cabin of Crusader. What is it? What's the next piece of the game that you want to go live? And don't say Star Marine, because we know that that's already going live, but that's not part of Star Citizen. That's part of the game inside of Star Citizen that is called Arena Commander and Star Marine. So let's look at it from a point of view of what's the next piece, what's the next major module that you want to see come to us inside of this game. So put that into the body of this, well, into the comment section of this video. I'll collect those myself and pick through them and read a couple on the next state of the game And then Ben and I will announce the winner on one of the next two Wednesdays, depending on if we do one next week and the week after, or if we only do one at the very end of next week. So if we do one at the very end of next week, we're going to announce it on the next Wednesday. If Ben actually can set aside the time for me to do two Wednesdays, it will be on the second one. Sorry for the vagueness of that. I am working with Ben's schedule, not my own. Folks, thank you so much for watching and listening, and thank you for all the wonderful feedback on the last Wednesday, on the last State of the Game, on my baby PTU. I mean, on all the videos I've been doing. Thank you. And with that said,